Now, last year was a great year for Belfast Brian Magee. He went to Denmark and won the European super middleweight title. He was an underdog. He made a defence in Dublin, and now he's got a proper world title fight lined up in March in Montreal against the IBF super middleweight champion Lucien Bute. However, during my roundup in Boxing Monthly, I listed 5 or 6 other Irish fighters and missed him out and got my ear chewed off by his manager the other day, manager and promoter the other day. So I'm been suitably chastised. I'm delighted to say that Brian, who's been waiting patiently, listening to all this heavyweight stuff, joins me on the line now. Good evening, Brian.
Hi, Steve.
Yeah, listen, I'm fine. Sorry for keeping you waiting. But I mean, you were meant to be on at 8 o'clock, but then when all this stuff broke last night, what could I do? I had to kick you off again, and there's no slight on you. You know that, don't you?
I do indeed.
Now, listen, last year, I mean, you won those 2 fights, but and I suppose the world title fight is the reward for those 2 fights. But it must have been fairly frustrating last year because it wasn't going very fast, was it?
Oh, it was terrible, but the year before that was even worse when I had the British title and gave it up and then got frozen out to fight for it again.
Yeah, I remember
that year was a nightmare. So I mean, winning the European title was a great springboard to get me back again. But the year before that was the worst year.
Yeah. Now Bute, okay, he's the champion. He's unbeaten. He's popular over there. You know, in his second home, was born in Romania. He's popular over there in Quebec, but I think that sometimes his record flatters the deceived slightly, Brian. Is that a fair comment?
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, everybody knows in boxing, a lot of the top guys, like, you know, your first 10 fights or so, like, you know, you're meant to beat these guys. It's a learning curve in boxing, so, you know, but there's no doubt about it. His last, you know, five or so fights have been against, you know, he's starting to move up a level again, so he is. So, you know, I think I'm fighting at a good time. There's no doubt about it. He's on top of his game. He's got all the moves. He's got all the punches. You know, he looks a class act. But, you know, this is it. It's who you fought and what kind of experience you've got behind you to back it up.
Do you need it for a victory, Brian? Do you need him to maybe take you a little bit easier, take you for granted, and you to have a great night? You know, is it one of those things? You know, it needs to be. You need him to underestimate you. You know, you're honest enough. He's a bit younger. You know, he's unbeaten. He's fighting at home. So you need him to. Do you think you need that a little bit? Him to underestimate you slightly?
No, not at all. I mean, no matter what, when I'm training for anybody, I'm expecting the best fighter that they can be on the night, and they're on the night. Same as when I'm at the Denmark, Matt Larson expecting the best guys. So you have to up your game. You know, you don't go in thinking, you know, some guy. Hopefully, you know, you're at an advantage that way. You know, as far as I'm concerned, I'm going against the best fighter in the super middleweight division, and he'll be at peak, you know, condition on the night. So that's what you have to be up against. That's what to be ready for.
I mean, his last fight, you know, when he beat that guy Jesse Brinkley, you know, who was a TV fighter, you know, from the contender. I mean, to be honest with you, he can, you know, he can kind of take things for granted a little bit in some fights. And you know, the Miranda, the Andrade, the Zuniga fights, you know, they're sort of tough old, you know, harsh wars with people putting themselves in front of him. You know, there are people that, you know, he hasn't had to go looking for those. He could have found them blindfolded, couldn't he?
Well, this is it, you know. But then again, you only fight who's in front of you.
Of course you do.
You know, he dealt with them well. He stopped them, knocked them out. He took them out there. So you can't go. You know, you can't kind of say anything about that there. You know, he took them out there. He
took them out early. Yeah, he's rough and tough. Well, listen, Brian, we wish you the best of luck on March the 19th out in Montreal. Might try and get you on the phone when you. How long are you going out there for, Brian?
Probably about 10 days beforehand. So.
Well, brilliant. We might get you when you get out there after a day or two. Brian Magee, European super middleweight champion, who's challenging Lucien Bute for the IBF super middleweight title in the Bell Centre in Montreal on the 19th of the 3rd, 2011. Now it'll be